Good morning. This is Thomas Caldwell, and this is the Aurelian Column, Monday Morning Report, August 7th, 2023. First of all, thanks for the positive feedback from last week. There's nothing new on the submarine story, nothing new on these strange craft lurking below. Also, vats of immortal cells brewing up artificial meat for our consumption. But please keep your eyes peeled for those. If you see anything in the news or hear anything, especially if you're at the supermarket, just send me a note and let me know if you have any details on it. I'd love to see it. The feedback is feedback@aureliancolumn.com. Now, this week there's two stories I'd like you to watch, but the main one is about revival of the military draft. Now, in spite of what you're seeing in the mainstream news, this is not new. This has been discussed, and there's been some legislation that was proposed during the Obama administration, through the Trump administrations. This is something that's sort of nonpartisan. It's been talked about for a while, and this is just now coming to the surface. Given how the country has and the world has turned into such a mess, mostly at the U.S., creating some of it, it's not a matter of if the draft is coming back, but when it's coming back. So if you're approaching 18 or you have children that are approaching 18 in a few years, it's something you want to concern yourself with. Now, this time around, when they do it, it's going to be far different from the days of Vietnam, half a century ago. At that time, according to historic estimates, more than 500,000 American men were guilty of crimes related to avoiding military draft. Only a few thousand were prosecuted or went to prison for it, but it was something the feds have a long, long history of enforcing. And I suspect you will also start to see people who have not signed up for, men, by the way, who have not signed up for selective service being called by the authorities. Very few people have been prosecuted for that law that was reimposed in 1980, which I remember very well because I was just coming to age that year when it came back, and it was something that concerned me. Jimmy Carter reintroduced the possibility of having a draft at that time on account of the Soviet Union attacking Afghanistan, of all places. Anyways, this time around, if you want to avoid the draft, it's going to be very hard to escape from it. It'll be very hard to disappear. Back then there was no internet. There was no massive nationwide computer system. All the other technology that's been used to control us or keep tabs on us did not exist. So if you wanted to escape to Canada or some other country, it was a lot easier to do so. It's not going to be that this time around. But then again, Americans have shown a wonderful unwillingness to fight back when the government does something stupid or just plain evil. And the people in power know that. Now, Congress needs to approve the powers to give the president ability for the president to reactivate the Selective Service Act, which you can do a Google search on if you want to find out about it. The president then could reactivate selective service, call the draft boards up. This mechanism is there and it is functioning. It's not something they're going to create from scratch. They literally flip a switch, and it's going to work. So I suspect what you're going to see, because they're not going to want to bring a lot of debate in on this, and people be screaming about the constitutionality, about not including women, or what about people that don't identify as male or female? Should they sign up? It'll get weird. So what you're going to probably see is a small amendment on an insignificant bill giving the president power to reactivate the Selective Service system. I suspect that'll happen this autumn. I think it'll happen before the end of the year, probably as early as September, October, but I would wager it'll be before the end of the year. So in 2024, it'll have the ability to go up and running, because they might have no choice. I don't think that the powers that be are going to allow Mr. Trump to be elected president again, no matter what. I think we've been seeing that in the news as well. So I think that the Democrats will probably have someone in power in 2024, and they know that. So I suspect at this time next year, you will be seeing draft boards and people being brought into military service with far less protest than you saw in the 1960s and 70s. Now, the other story to watch is going to be AI. This is a big story that comes and goes in the mainstream media, but arguably it's the worst idea the human race has had since nuclear weapons. And unfortunately, it's being applied to just about everything humans do, including poetry, of all things. Writing all kinds is being taken over by thinking machines. This is part of the reason the Hollywood strike is going on. And just as the way you see somebody from Manila answering your phone if you call an insurance company or even if you call the maintenance office of an apartment complex you're living in, you're going to be dealing with machines more and more. Artificial intelligence, non-human beings. Okay, that's what I call them, non-human beings. And this is being applied to all the creative jobs. Remember we were told, you're going to get rid of manufacturing, we're going to have the service economy, and then they bring in automation for that. And they said, now we're going to have creative jobs. And now you can go to websites and create haiku poems that aren't bad, or other types of prose. You can create stories by just entering a few basic facts. And this is stuff that's available online. So imagine if you have a lot of skin in the game, or you're a company that produces books or something like that. The publishing business doesn't do as well as it used to. But if you need stories, it'll be applied. And it's being applied. It's being applied quicker than most people realize. Also, the same thing going on with artwork. Graphic artists are being tossed out because they're finding machines that can do it better. And no one's really upset about this, at least not enough to do something about it. So what are humans going to be left to do? I ask you, what are we going to be left to do? What are the machines going to do with us? This is something that I will be writing about, a story about in the near future, and I will leave it for that. But follow these two stories this week. The military draft, this is going to be important. The way it's going to be imposed is going to be in a very unhealthy way compared to the way it was imposed during the Vietnam era and prior to that, if you can believe that. AI is the real scary thing. It's dropped out of the headlines lately. It's almost like people are being made to acclimate with it, which is by design. Anyway, that's it for today. Please look for other things going online this week on my site. If you want to drop me a line, I'm always willing to hear from you folks. Please send a note to feedback@aureliancolumn.com. Feedback, one word, @aureliancolumn.com. And of course, the mantra of our time, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to contribute with a paid subscription so I can do this more and do it in more depth, that would be greatly appreciated. Until next week, stay tuned and good day.